Welcome to my views and news. Several updates for you on the ongoing conflict in the Amhara region. Firstly, if I am missing key incidents in Amhara region, please do contact me through email. sajid672000@gmail.com is my Gmail ID. Or if you have exclusive information, you can share it with me. I never disclose my sources because so much is happening. It is difficult to cover each and every development. And we must ensure that the ongoing conflict in Amhara is covered impartially. Social media is full of rumors, full of false information. I want to be this coverage impartial and complete. So that is why if you have any information, don't hesitate to contact me through email. Now viewers, four important news stories. Firstly, Ethiopian government is considering making a key decision to control law and order situation in the Amhara region. If this decision is made, can it be implemented or will it backfire? Secondly, PM Abiy is back in military uniform. He was seen frequently in military uniform when there was war in northern Ethiopia. Today, once again, he was seen in military uniform while visiting an ENDF training center. Thirdly, viewers, while conflict is ongoing in Amhara region, no signs of de-escalation. Arrests of Amhara activists, journalists, and human rights defenders are continuing. Lastly, Tigrayan viewers, around 1,500 Tigrayan members of Ethiopian National Defense Force have been released from a prison. The prison is situated in SNNPR. Firstly, viewers, as I have been reporting since day before yesterday, protests are intensifying in the Amhara region. Gajam, Wollo are centers of these protests. Gondar, largely silent. People say that on Sunday, a massive demonstration will be held in Gondar city. Let's see. Gondar city is silent. We saw a protest roadblock in South Gondar yesterday. But where is Gondar city? What is happening there? I have some information trying to confirm it because the way we are seeing people protesting in different parts of Gajam, we are not seeing the same intensity in Gondar. PM Abiy's wife is from Gondar, viewers. And PM Abiy a few days ago with his wife visited Gondar. And he succeeded in preventing major demonstrations in Gondar a few days ago when people in Amhara were planning protests on the 2nd of April, 5-year anniversary of PM Abiy coming to power. On that day, we saw demonstrations in different parts of Amhara, but not in Gondar city. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Now, government is deliberating, discussing the strategies to quell protests, to control law and order situation in Amhara region. Why? Because protests intensifying, main roads leading into Amhara from Addis Ababa, from Rome are blocked. Near Dajan, near Debre main roads blocked. Marsa road was blocked too. Waldia Dasi road, though it was opened I think a few hours ago. And inter-region transport suspended. Ethiopian army's movement suspended. Ethiopian army could be trapped in Amhara region, or it will have to flee to other regions if this conflict spreads. And internet internet access was cut off yesterday in Gondar, Bahirdar, Wuldia. Now, government is discussing key meetings underway how to control situation. Some sources claim government is considering establishment of military command post in Amhara region. That Amhara region will come under the control of Ethiopian National Defense Force. All security institutions will come under ENDF. Like we have seen in different parts of Ethiopia, like in Gurag and Wolaita, when there was a conflict, there were protests against the government. Government established command posts there. A similar proposal is under discussion. No decision made so far. But if the decision is made to establish command post in Amhara, it will backfire. Why? Ethiopian government launched a channel to take the ownership of this operation against Amhara Special Force in Amhara region. Janel is from Amhara region, General Abiy Tadase. He is an Ago, I think. And he was a hero a few weeks ago, that he led the war. He defeated Tigrayan forces. Now he is a villain in Amhara region. The ownership of this operation should have been taken by politicians. But a wrong move was made. A military officer was told to be on the front. And that strategy backfired. Abiy Tadase gave an interview. No need of the interview. He threatened people, groups in Amhara yesterday. He said that those who have not learnt a lesson from war in the north will be taught a lesson. No one can dictate terms in Ethiopia. His interview backfired. And even now, he is commanding this operation. Today, a meeting was held with participation of Abiy Tadase, with the regional security officials, federal security officials too, and there Abiy Tadase said that all regional special forces are being reorganized. Operation is not in just Amhara region. So it is mainly Abiy Tadase who is leading the operation. Where are politicians? Reorganization of Amhara Special Force is not only a security issue but also a political issue. Politicians will have to stand with ENDF officers, or they'll have to take the lead. Why are people reacting? Because a general is leading. Generals don't know how to negotiate, how to mediate, they know how to fire. They know how to shoot. They are not statesmen. Such operations should be led by politicians. But politicians are divided along ethnic lines. If they come out openly in support of this operation, if they are Amharas, they lose support in Amhara region. If they are Oromos, they'll be labeled anti-Amhara. So that is why it's a very difficult situation. Abiy Tadase's hotel is under discussion, that the man has a luxury hotel constructed in Bahirdar. And an Ago friend of mine contacted me. He said, Sajid, activists are sharing messages that Abiy Tadase's hotel in Bahirdar should be demolished. The hotel is being protected by security officials there. So you see that Abiy Tadase has turned into a villain, not a hero now. Let's see how government tackled the situation. Any move to establish military command post in Amhara is going to backfire, I personally think. Second PM Abiy is back in military uniform. Last year in 2021, we saw him frequently clad in a military uniform while war was going on in Tigray, in northern Ethiopia. Now he is back in the uniform. Is it a symbolic gesture? or is it just a coincidence? He was at a training center, Ethiopian Army training center today, Harso military training center. There he delivered a speech addressed recruits and ENDF officers. Is it a coincidence or is it a message for groups in Amhara region that PM Abiy will not make a compromise? That state's writ will be established. Whoever opposes will be arrested, will be put behind bars. Let's see. I think it's a gesture, a symbolic gesture from the government, from PM Abiy, that no compromise will be made by the government. But government has made several compromises. What happened in the recent confrontation between the church and the government? Federal government, Oromian government backed splinter Orthodox faction in Oromia. But when church showed unity, church challenged the government, church announced nationwide protests, Ethiopian government kneeled. It kneeled in front of the church. It backed down. Let's see what happens in this case, in the ongoing conflict in Amhara. Thirdly, views arrests of Amhara activists, journalists are continuing. A lawyer who is contesting the cases of Amhara activists, Amhara intellectuals, Amhara journalists has been arrested. His name is Elelegne Mehreto. He is lawyer of several Amhara scholars and activists who are in prison, like he is lawyer of Sisse Ogayo, an Amhara scholar. I think he's a teacher who was arrested a few days ago. He was declared as someone who was planning a coup, planning to assassinate top Ethiopian government leaders, he and some other Amhara leaders. So this lawyer, Elelegne Mehreto, is advocating for these Amhara activists and Amhara scholars, but he has been arrested. So these arrests are continuing. Lastly, more than 1,000, around 1,500 Tigrayan members of Ethiopian National Defense Force have been released from a prison in the SNNPR. Merab Abaya is a prison in SNNPR, and thousands of ENDF members, Tigrayan speaking from Tigray, were detained there when the war broke out in northern Ethiopia in November 2020. Tigrayan speaking members of ENDF were arrested. They are not combatants. They were arrested just because they were from Tigray. It was feared they could support Tigray defense, they could join Tigray defense. They were arrested, put in prisons. Now they are being released. Around 1,500 were released this morning. A few days ago, dozens were released from prison in Jigjiga, and still there are thousands reportedly. So gradually, Tigrayan members of Ethiopian National Defense Force are being released. What about people in prisons in Tigray? Those who worked with interim government put in place in Tigray by federal government after federal government took control of Mekelle in November 2020. After TPLF retook Mekelle in June 2021, it arrested those Tigrayans who worked with transitional government, interim government, led by Abraham Bali and others. And they're still in prisons. No news of their release. How many are there in Tigray's prisons? Why aren't they being released? Thanks for watching.